There have been a lot of opinions about the San Francisco 49ers and how they have executed this offseason. And a term that gets thrown out a ton is the word, or phrasing, I should say, mass exodus, because so many players left. We've seen the stats. No other team has seen their free agents get paid more in free agency than the San Francisco 49ers have. And the deficit in what they actually spent on incoming free agents is the largest gap we've ever seen in the NFL. So that has been a huge focus and also, I guess, a narrative driver. What I think Mark Schlereth does right here on his podcast is destroy any potential narratives that are out there and just gives you the blunt truth of the matter. And I think literally every topic he discusses, whether it's Brock Purdy getting paid, whether it's this max exodus, whether it's even some of Jed York's comments, which I also spoke about, he's 100% on point. But have you take a listen right here, give you my reaction on the other side. But it is worth a listen.
49ers are getting prepared to spend a lot of money on a new contract, so much so that Jed York, their owner, came out and said that, hey, listen, part of the reason why you're seeing the, quote, exodus of players from San Francisco is because we got to be able to pay our quarterback. And so for 49er fans who, Dre Greenlaw leaves, Talanoa Hufanga leaves, this is a byproduct, apparently, of having to pay your quarterback now franchise quarterback money.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
You don't buy it?
No. I mean, listen, I love Jed York. Jed is a nice guy, but it is not Brock Purdy's responsibility to manage the 49ers cap.
You're
it's
right.
the 49ers' responsibility to manage that, right? And like I said, man, I'm a big Brock Purdy fan. Jed York has always been really kind to me, so I appreciate him. But this is the plan. So you talked about all these guys, this mass exodus. Here's what happened. They had a bunch of injuries last year, Mike. Okay? And they had guys that replaced those injured guys, right? And they came to the realization, you know what? The guys that replace the injured guys are young, they're inexpensive, and oh, by the way, they're really good.
Right.
Like, these guys got a chance to be great. Mustafa at the safety position, unbelievable, Mike. Diamonor Lenore played really well.
Yep.
Brown at the cornerback position played really well. And remember, Travarius Ward missed time. Hufanga missed time. Dre Greenlaw missed a lot of time, right? Hargrave wasn't healthy all year. A couple offensive linemen that were okay. Like, this is the plan. Like, you come in there and you're like, man, the last 5 weeks of the season, Ricky Pearsall was awesome.
Yep.
He was awesome. Oh, my gosh. By the way, Jawan Jennings, that dude's a trained killer. You telling me he couldn't do what we had Debo do? Debo hasn't been Debo since 2021 or whatever it is. So a lot of this is planned. A lot of this is just great management by the 49ers. There's only one guy in this whole thing that they really, really didn't want to lose, and that's Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
To the point where they got on a plane, they being Kyle Shanahan and they being John Lynch, and flew to Texas to meet face-to-face with Dre Greenlaw when he had agreed, like, he's going to Denver, to try to talk him out of it, to try to match that offer, to try to keep him in San Francisco as a San Francisco 49er. Like, this is standard operating procedure. And so, 49er fan, don't fall for the hype. The 49ers are going to be just fine. Kyle's a damn good coach, and they still have a ton of really good players. And Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback. They're going to pay him, and a lot of these choices are their choices, Mike. I don't get my panties in a wad over, oh my gosh, we lost some players that really didn't play very much last year. What are we going to do? Because I got to watch. I did one of their last games of the season. I got to watch 3 or 4 games of Ricky Pearsall and was like, well, blown away. I got to watch Juwan Jennings. As a matter of fact, so much so that before the game, I was out on the field. Juwan Jennings is warming up. He runs by me, go, hey, can I, Juwan? He takes his earphone out and introduced myself to him. And I just told him, dude, don't change. Now, he got thrown out of the game for beating the snot out of somebody. But I was like, dude, what you're doing is so freaking fun to watch. And the way you compete and don't ever change. Because it was for me, watching that on film, I was like, this is awesome. I love this. And people say, well, you're biased. Yeah, you're damn right. I'm biased to really good players. I like watching them play. I love watching really good players who care, who will do the things that other players won't do, who will mix it up, who will throw fists, who will do whatever it takes to get their team a win. Now, he's got to tone it down occasionally,
right,
because he'll get himself into trouble. But I love that kid. Do you know that he came into Tennessee as a quarterback?
Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, he was a quarterback in the same quarterback room as the astronaut guy. What is it?
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs.
Yeah,
they were at Tennessee together as quarterbacks. I don't know why that popped into my head. They just did, but
all that preparation you put into games, those little nuggets that come to mind.
I can't remember anybody's name, but yeah, right. I'll get a nugget or two.
So very quickly, we'll leave on this. Brock Purdy's going to get paid. Should he get paid? Is this a situation where the 49ers are getting ready to spend smart money, big smart money, or is this got more of a feel of we don't really have another avenue to turn to, and the devil is the better than the one you don't? Is there any element of that to what we're seeing?
Brock Purdy is a top-notch player, a top-notch quarterback in this league. Brock Purdy, the only knock on Brock Purdy's had some injury issues. Brock Purdy is smart. He processes. He's accurate. Brock Purdy is a big-time player. And I just don't think you fail paying big-time players. Now, it's your job to manage it as an organization, right? And you keep every other year, every 2 years, you come back and you renegotiate the deal and you give the guy a bunch of money and you figure it out. But no, Brock Purdy's a big time player. Brock Purdy is a top-notch quarterback in the National Football League. So no, I don't have any trepidation at all about the San Francisco 49ers paying Brock Purdy. And Jed York, their owner, says, "Oh, you got to manipulate, and you're going to lose some players because of that." Listen, most of these guys they lost, that's planned. They're like, how you get, how you make those decisions is when young guys get a chance to play and you're like, damn, this guy is just as good as the guy we had ahead of him, and he's 4 years younger and is a lot less expensive. Yeah, let's make that move. There are a lot of these things that became the plan because of the way the young kids played. I understand they still, they only won 6 games or whatever, but I'm just telling you, the 49ers, based on the film study I did at the end of last season, 49ers are going to be fine.
So right out the gate, he starts out blazing in regards to the comments that Jed York made about Brock Purdy, and basically saying that this whole situation with all these players leaving was because they got to pay their quarterback. And I remember I also spoke out against it. I was like, that is a weird thing for Jed to say, because when you look at all the players that have left, they weren't planning on paying them. We knew that they weren't going to pay Talanoa Hufanga. I don't think that's necessarily in relation to Brock. I think that Hufanga's market exceeded what even the 49ers would have considered, especially the fact that he has been injured for the last 2 years. The only player, just like Mark had mentioned, that they probably wanted to retain was Drake Greenlaw. And their problem was not because of Brock. They waited too long. They did not give their best offer right at the gate, and we saw what happened. Dre moved, already made the decision he was moving on from the San Francisco 49ers. And It is what it is. That's not Brock Purdy's fault. So I found it interesting. They weren't going to pay Aaron Banks. That was never going to happen. Clearly, they got rid of guys that they technically didn't need to get rid of for cap reasons. Like you think of guys like Malik Collins and Leonard Floyd. They didn't have to get rid of them. They could have kept them on the roster. Considering they're also only going to be playing for 1 year under contract, Brock Purdy's cap hit's going to be backloaded. So again, I agree 100% with what Mark Schlereth said. To me, that feels like a bit of a narrative spin by the owner himself, which I was kind of taking we talked about it in real time. I was like, I'm surprised he said that. But it is what it is. Water under the bridge. We know how this business goes. Like I said, that's just how it happens. The other things that I think he also talked about was, again, basically saying this was planned. All of this stuff that's happened is part of the plan. I agree with that 100% as well. And also in regards to paying Brock, like, yeah, 49ers need to pay Brock. It is what it is. They got to find, obviously, a happy place for both parties involved, because clearly there seems to be a gap. And, I would say that Jed York's comments also speaks to that by basically saying, hey, when Brock Purdy wants to come get a deal done, we're here. We're right here. We'll get it done really quickly. And so we've been doing this long enough to understand that he's basically saying, we're not moving from this spot where you're saying you want to be at. So if you want to get this thing done, come on down. We're ready to go at this number that we want, not necessarily the number that you want. Whatever, it is what it is. That's what business is like in the NFL, at least specifically with the San Francisco 49ers. This has been ongoing for years. The 49ers are far apart between the player and the agent and what they want, and then it's a whittling down, trying to get closer to a number that makes sense for both. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I think the 49ers, and I think all 49er, no, actually, I shouldn't say all 49er fans, but I would say a majority of 49er fans who are, in the belief that the 49ers need a franchise quarterback, and that quarterback is Brock, that they should pay him, the cost of doing business. Again, what I keep mentioning about this situation is whatever Brock gets right now will most likely look middle of the pack in about 3 years. It will be a very average number, with the cap continuing to rise over the next couple of years. Guys who are going to get paid next, like a Jaden Daniels, probably going to reset the entire market. Who knows what he's going to get? So I think the 49ers should pay Brock, and and we'll go from there. What the future holds, we'll see. But you give Brock a couple years, see what he can do. And if it's looking like, maybe they need to go in a different direction, then obviously you have stipulations built into the contract that could allow you to do so. So I don't think it needs to be a big deal. I don't think it needs to be a big thing. I just hope that the 49ers get it done and move forward, and this doesn't go into the offseason program, including OTAs and mandatory minicamp, and we can put all of this stuff behind us. But let me know what you guys thought about what Mark Schlereth had to say in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.